Hey there everyone, welcome back to Utility Sports. Really excited today to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, who have had a pretty solid start to the season. Anthony Davis has been playing at or near an MVP level, probably the best he's played so far this season. Throughout his entire career, JJ Redick has been getting the most out of him. LeBron's usage rate is lower than we're typically accustomed to seeing, and there's also been a little bit of controversy specifically in the backcourt centering around D'Angelo Russell. His role as a starter has been obviously up in the air a bit. Gabe Vincent hasn't been the most reliable player either for the Los Angeles Lakers, and also the continued search for a big man plays at the forefront of the Lakers team right now around Anthony Davis, looking for a little bit more size. So in this video, we're going to address either the backcourt or the center position through a few potential trades I could see the Lakers making later this season. I hope you guys do enjoy the content. If you do, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more. Without further ado, let's jump into trade number one here, and it brings a familiar face back to Los Angeles. Dennis Schroeder has been playing some pretty good basketball for the surprise Brooklyn Nets. The Nets have been playing, I think, much better than a lot of other people were expecting. Jordi Fernandez and the new systems he has instilled there in Brooklyn have reaped some early season success. It's not like the Nets are setting the world on fire, but they have been winning some more basketball games than I think you or I expected to begin the year, and a lot of that has to do with ball pressure, a lot of that has to do with ball movement, and it also comes down to the play of both Cam Thomas and Dennis Schroeder. In some ways, Schroeder's been very, very good for the Nets on certain nights this season, and I think he could be an upgrade for the Lakers. And I think the real important aspect here is looking at Dennis Schroeder as an off-the-bench option for the Lakers. If you were to trade Gabe Vincent, his $11 million salary, you attach Jalen Hood-Schifino in here. This also gives the Lakers a little bit more flexibility to maybe go out into the buyout market after the February trade deadline. It only cost them a second-round pick to make a deal like this because Schroeder is an expiring contract, one that I'm not sure the Nets will value keeping long-term past this season anyway. So Brooklyn, who is in asset collection mode after the Mikal Bridges trade, they now find themselves picking up another second-round pick. They get Gabe Vincent, which gives them another year of team control on a guard that Jordi Fernandez probably could utilize pretty well. I think Gabe Vincent fits into their defensive identity with the ball pressure, picking up full court, something Gabe Vincent's comfortable doing. Hood-Schifino is a little bit of a reclamation project. The Lakers already turned down his third-year team option, which is pretty rare to see from a former first-round pick. So the Nets, even though they wouldn't have the team option picked up, they would be able to sign him at that team option number this upcoming offseason. If things pan out for him, they could give Jalen Hood-Schifino an opportunity this year, as the Nets probably prioritize and emphasize losing a little bit more with some of their trade decisions at the deadline. We'll see what happens, but Dennis Schroeder to the Lakers I think does make some sense. Gives them a little bit more juice in the backcourt from a scoring perspective, from a ball handling perspective. I just think Dennis Schroeder is a better offensive player than Gabe Vincent, and I think even though Vincent is a quality defender, I think the Lakers probably taking a little bit of a bet on an improvement offensively. Schroeder's ability to play off of LeBron James, we've seen him succeed prior in Los Angeles, and I think if you're looking to kind of shore up your backcourt a little bit, trading one second-round pick down the road to make that kind of marginal upgrade on your roster is worth it for the Lakers, especially with how bunched up and tight the Western Conference projects to be this season. Even though it's only Dennis Schroeder, I do think this is an upgrade that the Lakers I could see really deciding to make. Rob Pelinka bringing back a familiar face, one that knows the organization. Very similar to when they brought D'Angelo Russell back to Los Angeles, right? Very similar to that. Although cheaper contract, there's not going to be a lot of long-term stay here for Dennis Schroeder in Los Angeles, but the idea is to shore up your backcourt a little bit with an off-the-bench guard like Dennis Schroeder, and that's a role we've seen him thrive in for long stretches of his NBA career so far. The Nets get a reclamation project in Hood-Schifino, a future second-round pick, and they get Gabe Vincent with a little bit of extra team control to maybe use as a trade chip next year as well. Trade number two, and this one centers with the Orlando Magic, specifically on guard Cole Anthony, who has fell out of their rotation a little bit. The Magic obviously started the year extremely well with Paolo Banchero lighting the world on fire. Since then, his injury has kind of hurt their chances of winning a bunch of games, but the day I'm recording this, the night before, the Wagner brothers did a great job against Charlotte. Orlando got a huge win over the Hornets in the in-season tournament game between the two. And the Magic are a team that I could see looking to pick up an asset if it becomes available for them by trading Cole Anthony. Now, this is one of the weirder trades because the Lakers are actually sending out a first round pick, but it is lottery protected and it is quite a ways down the road out to 2029. The Lakers, in return, though, do get 2 second-round picks back from the Magic. So it's not just as simple as, hey, give up a first-round pick, especially for someone like Cole Anthony. I don't think the value's there for the Magic to trade him for only a couple of seconds. I think the Magic would want a protected first-round pick, but I also think the Lakers would be very gun-shy of giving that up without getting something else back in return, which is why the 2 second-round picks are in this deal. Cole Anthony becomes, again, another big-time upgrade to their bench over Gabe Vincent from an offensive perspective here. You're also able to dump Christian Wood and Gabe Vincent in this. You still save some money, which, again, I think is important for the buyout market later this season. If someone, say, like Ben Simmons gets bought out, I could see the Lakers very, very interested in a player like that. So I think the Lakers will prioritize a little bit of flexibility at the trade deadline. If they're going to make a trade, they're going to try and send out one of these smaller salaries, whether it be Jalen Hood-Schifino, Christian Wood, along with their other main salary in the deal, in order to open up that roster spot and that space to sign a player in the buyout market like a Ben Simmons. Again, this is all projection, what could theoretically happen, but I would not rule out Ben Simmons going to the Los Angeles Lakers later this year. There's going to be a bunch of contending teams or teams that are hopeful contenders interested in Ben Simmons, and I think the Lakers are one of them. But Cole Anthony just specifically helps the Lakers a lot. Now, I know he hasn't been hitting his shots this year. The shooting splits are all down. This is, again, based on how he has performed throughout his career, the type of shot creation, shot dynamism he's able to create for himself off of a live dribble. I think is just a significant upgrade over what Gabe Vincent gives the Lakers off the bench specifically. And with Austin Reeves in the starting lineup, with D'Angelo Russell, it's not like you need Cole Anthony to be a 20-point-per-game scorer. What you're hoping he can be for you is a threat on catch-and-shoot opportunities and someone who can exert a little bit of downhill pressure, get to certain spots on the floor, rise up and make, at times, contested jump shots. And is that worth a first-round pick in 2029, lottery protected? Maybe, maybe not, but I could see the Lakers looking at a deal like this. Cole Anthony is one of the better backup guards that they could probably realistically land to place behind D'Angelo Russell. Let's talk about someone who has been traded to the Lakers before, then not traded to the Lakers. That is Chris Paul. Remember, over a decade ago now, the Hornets trade to send Chris Paul to the Lakers was, of course, nixed and vetoed by David Stern, then commissioner of the NBA, as the league office was in control of the Hornets at the time. Now Chris Paul finds his way to the Los Angeles Lakers, playing back again in Staples Center after spending so much time in that building for the Los Angeles Clippers and the Lob City era. And this is a very fascinating situation because Chris Paul would be playing under one of his former teammates in J.J. Redick. He would be now playing alongside LeBron James, which would complete the trifecta of everyone from the Banana Boat crew playing with LeBron, whether that be Carmelo Anthony or Dwayne Wade and now Chris Paul. Of course, this is a recently signed player, so this trade could not happen until a couple of months from now. But Chris Paul to the Lakers, I do think would make some significant sense for them as an off-the-bench guard. This would be under the idea that San Antonio would want to help Chris Paul get to a team that maybe has a shot at pushing in the playoffs. The Spurs obviously have, I think, reaped some of the early benefits of having Chris Paul on their roster from a developmental standpoint, from a culture standpoint, from kind of an expectation-setting standpoint. But at the trade deadline, if Chris Paul wants to go to a team that has real playoff hopes, playoff aspirations, the Lakers could be a team I could see looking at him. Again, the Lakers save a little bit of money here. They get off of Gabe Vincent. It only cost them a second-round pick this year to do so. The Spurs pick up an extra asset. They get that extra year of team control with Gabe Vincent. They could later use to trade him either at the draft or going into next season. We'll see how the Spurs would go about something like that, obviously. But I think from a flexibility standpoint, this does make sense for San Antonio as well, as it does to help out Chris Paul. If CP3 wants to go to a winning situation, I could see the Spurs really obliging that and helping him get to a spot he wants to go. And I think a return to Los Angeles, this time for the Lakers, does make a good deal of sense. I think with the heavy amount of sets that J.J. Redick has been instilling and running for the Lakers, I've really loved a lot of their actions, especially chin action, playing out of the mid-post with Anthony Davis a bit more. There's been a lot of good creativity in there, and if you give him a real floor general like Chris Paul to put alongside LeBron James. I think it would be an upgrade over Gabe Vincent still, even at this point in time with Chris Paul's age. He's just a winning player. He does a lot of things that help winning. And for a head coach that runs a lot of set plays, having someone who can run an offense like Chris Paul, I think would be very beneficial still at this point in time for Los Angeles. Trade number 4, this one centers between the Lakers and Toronto Raptors, and this time focuses on the Lakers landing a big man. And there's not much of a better fit out in the market, in my opinion, for the Lakers than Kelly Olynyk. Now, I know a lot of the conversation has centered around Walker Kessler so far. Disclaimer, I do not have a Walker Kessler trade in this video, and I think landing Kelly Olynyk actually makes quite a bit more sense for the Lakers, given the cost it will take to get him, given his salary, and given his actual offensive skill set. Around Anthony Davis, yes, if you want to put more size around him, someone like Kelly Olynyk, who is a stretch big, could help, but it also doesn't jeopardize your overall court spacing, your court positioning. Kelly Olynyk can really shoot the 3 ball. If you go back to a season ago, he has not yet made his season debut this year at the time I'm recording this for the Raptors, but what he has done historically, and especially last season, was shoot the ball extremely well, push in early transition. He can handle the basketball. He can make reads off of a live dribble, which is pretty unique for a player of his size. And I think if you put that into Los Angeles, who I just talked about with JJ Redick having all of these set plays and liking to trigger into dribble handoffs and liking to have players with skill having the basketball and making plays, making passes in tight windows, someone like Kelly Olynyk can do those things without jeopardizing your half-court spacing at all because of his ability to shoot the ball, especially above the break where a majority of his three-point attempts come from to begin with. This gets the Lakers out and running a little bit more, I think. I think Kelly Olynyk can push in transition for them, and I think he would just be a very valuable piece, especially in the Western Conference when you have to deal with real size. In Minnesota with Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert. In Denver with Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic. Adding in another big body while still being able to stretch the court and not hurt your half-court spacing on the other end, that will be extremely, extremely beneficial for the Lakers come playoff time. I think Kelly Olynyk is one of the best options that will be available for the Lakers. The Raptors have been very, very bad to start the season. There's not really a huge surprise there. Grady Dick's been playing awesome for them. But it's clearly another rebuilding year for the Toronto Raptors. Nothing wrong with that. That is the direction that they chose when they traded Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby. I still think that their rebuild is probably best for the long-term future of the organization. But the Lakers here are in a situation where they can take advantage of that, give up just 2 second-round picks to get Kelly Olynyk. The Raptors, who traded for Olynyk last year, kind of recoup almost the price that they paid to get him in to begin with. They get Gabe Vincent, again, another year of team control where they could trade him later. They get Christian Wood at $3 million expiring salary, doesn't say on the Raptors' books. This is all about flexibility for Toronto, and the Lakers get a pretty important upgrade into their front court rotation with Kelly Olynyk that still allows them to play Jackson Hayes if they want to. They have multiple different lineups they can toggle to then with whether you want to stretch big or you want a rim diving big like Jackson Hayes. There's a lot of optionality here now for JJ Redick if they get a deal done like this centered around Kelly Olynyk of the Toronto Raptors. Now we move on to trade number 5. I said we're not going to talk about Walker Kessler. Doesn't mean we're not going to talk about the Utah Jazz because I think this is the ideal trade for the Los Angeles Lakers. If they're able to get something like this done, it would be a real, significant, meaningful upgrade to their roster. And there's a few things involved in this deal that I really, really like for the Lakers. First of all, you are completely reshaping your backcourt. Both D'Angelo Russell and Gabe Vincent are going out the door in this deal to Utah, as well as Jalen Hood-Schifino, a top 8 protected first-round pick in 2029, and a 2027 second-round selection as well. What I really love about this, though, is, first of all, you're bringing back a player who knows the organization in Jordan Clarkson, spent the early stages of his career there before getting traded to Cleveland, and then ultimately retraded again to Utah. Jordan Clarkson, first of all, he's going to be available. He's another off-the-bench scoring guard who can create his own shot and at times creates some very difficult shots and is capable of making them even. I think there has been a constant uptick in the playmaking that Jordan Clarkson provides off the bench as well over the last couple of years. And I think if you put him around other winning players right now in Utah, it's very hard to gauge some of these players because of the amount of young pieces around them and Honestly, like, it's not the best situation to try and play winning basketball in. So someone like Jordan Clarkson, I think, could be a lot more valuable for the Lakers than he has been for the Jazz over the last couple of years. But really, the big piece in this deal for me is Colin Sexton, and I think he could be the starting point guard for the Lakers after this trade. I think he's a significant defensive upgrade over D'Angelo Russell. One of the real problems I see here between the Gabe Vincent D'Angelo Russell backcourt is D'Angelo Russell at times plays a lot smaller than he actually is on the basketball court, especially on the defensive end, especially on the glass. He just doesn't rebound at the rate that you think he should be capable of. And at times is a little bit of a revolving door. You know, we've heard JJ Redick talk about kind of turning back to old tendencies. Some of the shot selection at times for D'Lo is a little questionable too, and kind of the play speed he plays at, I think, another big problem. Colin Sexton is someone who's on the gas a lot. He defends, he rotates well, and he plays with a lot of energy and a lot of passion. I think around Austin Reeves, around Anthony Davis, around LeBron James, if you can get a player whose nickname is Young Bull for a reason, if you can get that type of player in your locker room, that's a really good opportunity to upgrade your team. Doesn't really hurt your three-point shooting. Colin Sexton has really leveled out as a good three-point shooter at this point of his NBA career. He does nice stuff without the ball in his hands. He can run an offense for you. He can initiate actions. But when it comes to the end of games, the Lakers are going to want the ball in Austin Reeves' hands. They're going to want the ball in LeBron James' hands or Anthony Davis' hands. And Colin Sexton can fit off of that both defensively and offensively. And I think he's a significant upgrade at this point in time, not only for this present season, but also for the future for the Los Angeles Lakers. I think trading for Colin Sexton is a very, very smart deal. It also gives the Lakers flexibility going into next year. You'd still have Sexton's contract on the books. You'd still have Clarkson's contract on the books. You go into next year, you kind of push off D'Angelo Russell. And the one thing I really like about this deal, we've seen the Jazz and Lakers make a bunch of trades in recent memory. You think especially to the Patrick Beverley, Talen Horton-Tucker trade. You think about the trade between the trade for D'Angelo Russell that the Lakers made to begin with, where ultimately Russell Westbrook went to Utah. These two teams have had conversations. They've been able to work out trades in the past. I think it's very likely we could see them revisit talks this year at the trade deadline. And the Jazz obviously have a lot to gain here, getting a 2029 top 8 protected first-round pick from the Lakers. The Jazz also own a protected first-round pick in 2027 from LA. So the Jazz here, a team that's been collecting a ton of assets. They get one more premier first-round pick here. They get a second-round pick in 2027, as well as some other young pieces or salary to later move if they so choose. But I think this is a win-win trade here. The Jazz pick up draft capital. The Lakers get 2 upgrades into their rotation. I think Clarkson's better than Gabe Vincent. I think at this point in time, Colin Sexton's better than D'Angelo Russell. And I think the Lakers walk out very, very happy with some meaningful upgrades on their existing roster. I really hope you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content. Let me know down in the comment section below what your favorite trade was for the Los Angeles Lakers. And we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.